Pro wrestling talk from the four corners of parts unknown. This is That Wrestling Podcast.
Hey, welcome to That Wrestling Podcast. It's Brian in the host chair for tonight. Kevin is here. Joseph is here. Jason, not here. Will he pop up later? Stay tuned and find out. We've got a packed show. There's been a lot happening in the wrestling world this week, but we must start off as we do every week with the question everyone wants to know. What are you wearing?
What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today?
Behind the curtain, when Jason said he doesn't know if he's going to be on, he's like, why don't you guys do a cappella versions of all of our theme songs? I was like,
I'm the only one who
why don't you come on the show and do a cappella, Jay? How about
Restart the intro. From parts on.
That sounds almost as good as Paul Heyman's John Cena theme there, Kevin.
That was good.
That was
good. Joe, why don't you start off with what are you wearing?
Well, since Jason is not with us tonight, I decided to honor Jason tonight, and I'm wearing the retro SoCal Pro Wrestling Podcast t-shirt.
The Wrestling Bears. Great graphic. Love that. Kevin, what do you have for us tonight?
I am wearing the eighth wonder of the world. For everyone watching on YouTube.
Oh, that was a good reveal.
Solid red Andre the Giant shirt from Pro Wrestling Tees. Paid the extra $3 and got the super soft. Definitely worth it.
Nice. Nicely done. So I teased this one last week, but it did happen for real, and I will display it this week. I also received That Wrestling Podcast t-shirt for my birthday. Check it off the list. I'm not the only member. I'm not the last member of the show to not have it. I mean, I am still the last member to have it.
You're the last member.
I'm no longer on the don't have it list. That's what I was trying to get out.
Hey, Brian, we're just going to ask you to stop talking for 1 second. And Joe, let's give him a round of applause for finally getting that t-shirt.
Mwah.
No, not too much of a round of applause. It took you long enough.
Like a golf clap. I had a birthday coming up, so I knew I could put it on the list and somebody delivered.
Happy birthday.
See, Brian wasn't sure this show was going to be any good, so he didn't want to buy the shirt until he knew it was okay.
That's more true than false. I agree.
False.
Awesome. All right, guys. So let's go back to last Friday. We'll start with SmackDown. So it was a unique show in that they had matches in Cleveland and at the Hip Hop Festival, Rolling Loud in Miami. Joe, I'll start you off. What did you think of the experience of the matches at the largest hip hop festival, Rolling Loud?
It was strange, but I kind of dug it for the simple fact that was a huge crowd watching Chad Gable and Montez Ford, and then the women's title match. It's like, you're never going to see like a crowd, an open crowd, like, what was it, at Miami Beach?
Something.
So it was like basically the old WCW spring break shows times 100.
Club La Vila.
Exactly, and we didn't have Scott Hall doing a cannonball in the pool this time. So I thought the lighting was off. It seemed like a house show lighting, but it was a hip hop show, so they weren't really ready for it. But other than that, it was an experience.
Yeah, I thought during the Bianca Carmella match, like the sun was going down. And I was like, ooh, is that sky? Is that real? It just looked kind of just like such a perfect orange glow during their match. But I mean, the crowd, I'm sorry, they were not into it. I don't know if they've been better to put it on some sort of side stage where maybe the few fans that were there could go and check it out. I felt for them, man. I thought it was a cool setup. It looked great, but I got a feeling a lot of those fans, the hip hop fans that were there for the festival, were like, are you kidding me? What is this?
That's like when a couple years ago at Louder Than Life in Louisville, NXT was there the second year.
Yeah.
So it worked out great because I always drug my wife to the festival, Laura, and she was pregnant with our son that year. And NXT was there both days. And it was like everyone big, right? Sasha was there. Bailey was there. Elias, Eva Marie, not that Eva Marie is that big, but she was there, and like everyone, but they had it under a tent, and there's chairs around, probably 300 chairs around the ring. So it was a little bit more intimate, but that crowd was dead. That crowd, while watching the replay, like you can tell they piped in some sound. Yeah. McAfee and Cole tried their hardest to make it exciting. It's just, the crowd was not into it. And thankfully, like the day before, like the soundstage fell or something on.
I saw a little note on that. Yeah.
Kind of odd, but hey, I give them credit for trying something new. I think it probably would go over a little bit more in a rock fest setting versus hip hop.
I applaud them for trying, a cool new idea. I hope they continue to do those sort of unique experiences. It is what it is. Going back to you though, Kevin. So in Cleveland, there's some developments where Roman Reigns was essentially declining John Cena's challenge. Finn Balor steps up. What do you think? Are you interested in this match? Like, what's your interest level? How do you think this sort of ends up?
I would like to see, of course, I want to see John versus Roman at SummerSlam. I would like to see maybe Finn go against him in the next couple weeks, but I think Roman declining kind of makes it a little fun. But we're in the inevitable Cena versus Roman matchup. It's just this Finn, I hate to say, he's just like a little hurdle to get to that matchup, because I hate saying, Finn getting bypassed so quick in that look, but it's Roman and Cena. It's just a play.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. Joe, maybe the highlight of all of wrestling and of a week that had so many highlights. Our dear friend Baron Corbin.
Football
imitating
to the groin, football to the groin.
That's right. Hans Moleman on The Simpsons. Take us through that, and are you feeling some sympathy for Corbin? Try as Kevin Owens might. I don't know if it's working.
No, I'm not feeling sympathy.
Yeah,
because Owens said it right away. It's like, you were a jerk for 7 years. No one's gonna feel bad for you. It just goes to show you that one thing. Like, I think Kevin Owens can make anything gold, and Snickers nut shot of the week is always going to be funny, no matter how old I get. What made it even more funny was the simple fact that Dolph and Rude robbed him when he was on the ground and just like made fun of him for it. So do I feel any sympathy for him? No, but he's no longer a heel. I mean, I didn't think he was a heel during the Nakamura feud, because Nakamura stole his crown.
Yeah.
Nakamura and Boobs were the heels of that feud. But everyone wanted to boo Corbin and cheer Nakamura. But I mean, when you look at it, that's when he did his face turn.
Yeah.
And he's still not 100% a face yet, because he's still trying to pull off the whole, my kids can't eat Wagyu beef, and we have to take like, he's still being a jerk, and he wants to GoFundMe. So, yeah. Like, Shotzi's cannon going off and hitting him at his lowest point could not have made me happier. And then Dolph and Rude come up. I mean, that made my week.
The best was on Twitter, the Botchamania guy. He basically put it out there. Yes, to the 200 people who have sent me the clips of Hans Moleman. Yes, we know it's going to be in the next episode, because I think the whole world saw that and made that connection of football to the groin. I'm with you too, Joe.
Well, Roman's ahead of the table, but football to the groin is football to the groin.
That's right. So I am intrigued about Kevin Owens' involvement, because you're right. He's a guy that there really isn't anything that can go wrong if he's in a feud. It's going to be at least tolerable. And I'm wondering if, a couple months down the road, if we're going to look at, wow, Corbin and Owens, they're so great. Like kind of how Randy and Riddle are. So to be determined on that. So that takes us through SmackDown. We're going to jump ahead to Monday Night Raw. I'll start us off. I don't think there was a lot good to it. It kind of lost me a little bit. You had Nikki Cross losing to Charlotte, but there's a rematch next week. There's a triple threat at SummerSlam with Rhea. It's just, I wish there was something different. Obviously Nikki is different, but we got a rematch. We're gonna have a triple threat. It's like, I don't know. I don't like that. We've got Karrion Kross and Keith Lee in one of those matches that, Joe, you put on Twitter of like, oh, great. Well, somebody has to lose. And it was Keith Lee. So now he's back and he's lost his first 2 matches.
I did say the positive was it went longer than 1:39. Thank you for that one, Kevin.
And I'm glad you got 1:39.
I know. That was a tough one for all of us to get. And it was an okay match. Don't get me wrong. But okay. I was just like, something's not going to happen.
But the crowd was dead during
exactly.
Dead. And they're dead. They were dead more than the Rap Fest because they already were proven to be nobodies the week before.
When Cross walks out and every guy's like this, even a heel, no boos visually when you're walking down the ramp. Keith Lee got a little bit, but like he panders to the crowd, right? He tries really hard to get him to cheer. I don't know, man. Both of them are going to struggle on the main. Both.
It's tough.
Both of them are. I know, like Jason's not here to defend himself, and he was like, we'll wait and see how this goes. And after last week's show, and I was listening to it again, I can't believe I didn't bring this up. Jason's still waiting to see how it goes with Retribution. So we can't exactly like, he's very focused on this is going to be okay. I think Cross is DOA.
Oh, by the way, Jeff Hardy has COVID. So that story can't even continue because now he's out. So it makes last week look even worse that they can't continue whatever story they were trying to go with it. Joe, you've already said it week after week. We know that you're Mr. Negative on Raw. Kev, is there anything that I'm leaving out or anything positive that you took from the show?
Not really. Yeah. Goldberg came back, said Goldberg came back last week, said 4 words, and you needed a week off already. I think you kind of mentioned Nikki Cross, like her coming out, and starting the show, I thought was pretty cool. And then it kind of just went downhill when
I would like to talk Charlotte. I'll focus on that too.
Like when she came in and I was eating everything up she was saying. I was just more happy for her. Right. But then Charlotte came in and then Nikki just looked out of place a little bit with the star power of Charlotte. And then I felt bad because Nikki's trying so hard. And then Rhea comes in and Rhea just kept on saying, oh, I deserve it. I deserve it. Not really saying much else. And then you see 2 powerhouses and then Nikki, love her, right? Just standing there smiling. Man, I hope something comes on because I do want to see her keep the title for a little bit. I don't want to see a flash in the pan for Nikki and then just go back because they're invested. They went all in on this character, right? And the little girls in the crowd were loving it. Like, I don't know if she has merch. I haven't really investigated that hard, but truly they should sell little capes, like the works for Nikki, if they plan on keeping the title on her. But like after that, not much. What? Like
no, it's this is my problem with Charlotte. It's not her ability in the ring. It's her stupid character. It is a simple fact that she came out and totally ran down Nikki and her fans. Remember, Charlotte and the fan. So like the whole thing of like, this is for the little girls out there to have a super wrong done. Charlotte just ruined it. Charlotte just basically, she didn't run her down. She just ran over her with the simple fact that she didn't take her serious stuff. She was just like, bye-bye, little girl. And then they have their pathetic match. It was a pathetic match. This champion, and she got 0 offense in. Charlotte basically did a glorified squash And then Nikki gets on the mic, and all the goodwill that she had towards me is pretty much gone right now with her promo of, I'm almost a superhero and I almost beat you. You're the champion. You should not be happy that you almost beat your opponent. You're the champion. You were the one representing this, but nope, it's got to be the same thing. Charlotte is Hogan 93. It is not about the best for the division. It's not even about the best for the company. It is all about her. And that is my problem with Charlotte Flair. And it's going to get worse before it gets better.
You'll find no disagreement from me about Charlotte. To your point about Nikki, I think there's got to be a balance between being the plucky underdog and, like you said, now she's the champion, so have more confidence. And so I think they're trying to navigate it. I mean, this gimmick started probably 5-6 weeks ago, and I was shocked she won Money in the Bank. I'm even more shocked that she won the championship. I really thought as soon as she got that, like, she's going to be mid-card for life, and it's going to be a fun gimmick, like the Hurricane Helms, right? And so, yeah, I think we'll see how it plays out. As far as, I think this week was a bit of a notch down for hopefully the future of the character. But yeah, rough night on Raw, I would have to say. So moving on to Wednesday, hopefully something a little more positive that we can take. Samoa Joe is back. He's back being an active member of the roster. What did I say, Wednesday? I said Wednesday, didn't I? I'm so force of habit, man. I'm so force of habit. It's still on the WWE Network, right?
It's only been like 4 months.
I know.
Who's your favorite Addams Family character?
Oh, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Wednesday.
What was the
nicely
Kaboom
done.
Box slam of the week?
Yeah, the Karate Fighters. Let's bring it back. All right. Edit all that out, Jay.
Stockings is next.
Don't really edit that out. Tuesday. No, Samoa Joe's back. That's how excited I was. I don't even know what day it happened. So the night after SummerSlam is going to be the next TakeOver 36. Joe, I'll start with you. Your excitement level to see that Joe's cleared to wrestle. And do you think he's the one to stop Cross?
Excitement level, 1 out of 10. I'd probably say.
Is that the robot vacuum?
No.
We're testing it out.
That was the fridge in the background making ice. Okay. Back to Samoa Joe being cleared, coming back after what he's gone through in the past year, basically getting let go. 1 out of 10, I give it an 8. I'm happy that he's back. Brian being correct about his wish list of wanting Samoa Joe in the main event. I'll give you a 10 on that one. You got a thumbs up. He's in the main event.
I'll take it.
Now, is he the one to beat Cross? Yes, because they're going to bring Cross up to Raw so he can be on main event facing Ricochet in 3 weeks.
Damn you. That's terrible. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying it's terrible. Kevin, another great part, at least in my opinion. Cameron Grimes, the hilarity continues on the golf course. And maybe I like it 10% more than I really would like it because Monday I had my work golf outing. But I'm sorry, you start off with Cameron with his back turned doing this. I go, I'm washing your balls, LA Knight. I'm sorry. How long I got to do this?
I've been watching it for 30 minutes.
Judging by your cackles, Kevin, you love these as much as I did.
Love them.
Talk about
$5,000. You hit that ball in that tree. I'll bet you $10,000. And then he hits it on the tree. You owe me $10,000. And then when LA Knight hit it in the water, he was like, go get it for me. And he's like, okay. Taking off his cowboy boots. He's in the water, and then Ted DiBiase comes up, and it's like a father-son speech kind of going on. And it's oh, I just laugh. Like they don't.
It's great.
They will, get in that ring again against each other. But as good as it was with the Cameron, Ted DiBiase, videos.
Yeah.
These are different, right? But they are just as good, just as funny in both of them. Like, honestly, both of them working together. Like, LA Knight is shining as well from the comedic factor because he's just coming off as such, an asshole.
Right.
But they work so well together. I want them to keep going for a long time. At least for a couple more months through the end of the year. That would be at least for me laughing.
I love Grimes' character because he is being like the hilarious antagonist, but yet he's dedicated to doing this butler job. Like, I'll go in the water, sure. Like he's not resisting, at least directly. It's always like indirectly with, talking when LA Knight's doing his swing, or of course when he ended up taking the shot and hit him in the nuts and then hit him in the head on the backswing. Like he's unintentionally messing with LA Knight because in his heart he's like, I'm being a butler and I'm helping, because he said, I'm just a stand-up guy. I think is what he said to DiBiase. I love it. I'm glad you guys felt the same way.
This is what Street Profits Viking Raiders should have been last year with their challenges, because those guys did work together, but those were really silly. This is silly in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, everyone is totally committed to it, and I am loving the extended cinematic universe of Cameron Grimes and LA Knight. I'm just afraid it's going to come to a head at TakeOver, and I don't want it to. I'm on Kevin's boat. I want this to last till at least Survivor Series.
Keep it going.
That'd be good.
Keep it going. Yeah. I hope they keep going on with some great creative bits. It's been nothing but gold so far. The big finale of the show was Dakota Kai turning on Raquel Gonzalez. Setup. I enjoyed the in-ring setup of her saying to Raquel that as long as I have your back, no one can touch you, no one can challenge you. And as soon as Raquel's back was turned, wham! Joe, what do you think? What do you think about the timing of this split? They've had a pretty good run together. Thoughts on kind of where this goes?
I love it. Even the promo. I was watching it, and my wife was on the couch too, and she was like, she noticed that she went, Dakota's gonna turn on her.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, even I know that, and I don't know anything about wrestling. I'm like, yes, but it's like she's building towards it. She's saying, no one in the back, as long as I have your back. And I'm like, yep, this is where it's happening. And then the kick. I don't think she has a chance of winning.
Yeah.
But it's the next step. I mean, that's the next step for both characters. And bravo for NXT for pulling it off.
Yeah. There'd been some little subtle teases that I saw when Raquel beat Mercedes Martinez. They had probably online, they had a clip of Raquel approaching Mercedes, kind of being attended by the trainer, and Raquel went to her and said, like, hey, respect. And there was Dakota in the background kind of giving a look like, respect? Like, what's with you? There was another scene, I don't remember who Raquel put down, but Dakota was holding the NXT Women's Championship and like was not willingly giving it to Raquel. Like, she kind of had to like grab it and be like, I'm going to take this from you. So if you haven't found those, look those up. So this has been kind of planted for a little while now. So yeah, I think the timing was good. I agree. I don't see Raquel losing, but maybe there'll be something funny that shenanigans pop up to make a surprise. Speaking of your wife, Joe, too, I understand she's got a new NXT favorite faction that is affecting your household. Tell us about that.
Oh, it's affecting my household. I am all bruised up every time Hit Row comes out now. It's like they came out and you just hear Hit Row, and then all of a sudden I hear my wife going, Hit Joe, Hit Joe. And then she gets up and just starts going, Hit Joe, Hit Joe. So yeah, it's been all
Joe.
No, but you have to finish it up with Hit Joe.
Right.
Joe.
Little jabs.
So yeah, she's enjoying it way too much. Like all week, ever since she thought she was so clever, which I gotta give her props. That was clever.
Yeah.
But then she got up and started hitting me. And every time Hit Row comes out, I'm like, no, I'm gonna get beat up by 5'1" of Fury.
Do you need us to come protect you?
Yes.
From your 5 foot
5'1" wide, 5'1.5".
90 pounds.
Yeah, probably.
You're like the Raquel Gonzalez, and she's the Dakota Kai.
Right.
Exactly.
In real life.
She's the AJ Styles, and I'm the Omos.
Right.
True.
Joe suddenly is.
I'm scared. I'm scared every time Hit Row comes out now because I know I'm going to get hit, but I got to give her props. It's really cool that she's really, she watches NXT with me. I mean, she watches ish, but she's on her phone, whatever. She just knows that I'm a wrestling fan, so she approves of that. But then started humming that and going, "Hit Joe, hit," and then got up and hit me. That was, I got to give her props for that.
In other news, Joe has suddenly dropped the Sci-Fi channel for this week from his cable package, and USA Network moving forward on Tuesday nights. So that's maybe good for your health and your wellness.
That's a clap for knowing what night NXT is on.
Thank you. Point for me there. We're 1 out of 2. So now let's move to the official Wednesday night wrestling show for real, AEW. So this was Fight for the Fallen, another big show. They had a really big crowd. Opening match was really good. Some nice stipulations with Hangman and the Dark Order having their title shots on the line. But what I want to talk about is the Space Jam tie-in. I'm kind of conflicted on this, and I want to get your thoughts. I'll start with you, Joe, just because I know specifically you're like the big movie guy. Did the crossover work for you? What did you think of it?
Okay, this is a tale of two movies because I'm going with the Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead, or whatever, the Netflix movie with the zombies.
Okay, yep.
That crossover didn't work. This one with a live crowd and playing jock jams. Are you ready for this, dude?
Right.
And they had the tearaway pants.
Yeah.
I was okay with it, because they didn't go too overboard. They didn't go too silly. They didn't have any cartoons with them.
But you didn't think the basketball lineup introductions and the hoop at ringside was too silly? Really? That's pretty silly to me.
No, but what made it was the jock jams.
Yeah, that was a great touch.
I gotta say, like that worked for me. Kevin, what do you think?
The only
stuck in my head now. Thank you.
It was kind of weird a little bit, just because it came after the Dark Order and Hangman coming in, like with the strobe light or the main lights shining, like each thing going to the center of the Dark Order, and then it goes right to the center between all of them, and Hangman walks out, and they're all wearing like purple bandanas, and that it was very, very cool. Like, it was really cool. Then the other one, with the Elite, it was a little silly, of course. The one thing I did like is when they were like, your starting point guard, 6 blah, blah, blah from North Carolina. Like, that was pretty cool.
The only competitor from North Carolina.
Yes. It was a little weird, I guess. I think, like, while watching, I'm just like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
But like the match itself, though, match itself was awesome. Yeah. It was a great way to kick it off. And I was fully expecting, we'll go right into the match. I was really expecting Hangman to win that. I didn't expect him to lose. I did not expect him to lose, because now he's going to fall down in the rankings, but then he'll climb his way back up. And then because he will be the one to dethrone Omega. I truly think that. It works because now that he lost, he'll drop down in the rankings. I think Jungle Boy goes to 2. Christian Cage will go to 3. Hangman will probably be in the top 5, but maybe 4 or 5. But then he has to work his way up again for that championship match. I kind of like it. Okay. The match itself I thought was really good, and it didn't make him look extremely weak. The belts at the end, so overall, I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I love how you broke it down like Alabama lost in week 3 and they're going to go down in the rankings. And then it's like, they're going to play Middle Tennessee State and they're going to make it way back up for the championship at the end of the year.
It's true. I'm surprised, because it really seemed like, okay, we've been building this long enough. We can do this at All Out and make it happen. And maybe this derails that. I'll be interested to find out how it plays out over these next couple of weeks. The next thing I want to discuss is the big live show announcement Friday, August 20th, the United Center in Chicago. It's a Rampage. It's the second Rampage, with the first one being the week prior in Pittsburgh. But they're calling it the First Dance, a play on the Chicago Bulls, The Last Dance from the ESPN documentary. So they announce it. The crowd immediately starts chanting CM Punk, which they show on camera. They make a point to go right into the face of everybody in the front row who's chanting CM Punk. And they go to a backstage interview too with Darby Allin and Sting, and he drops a line about that show saying that that'll be how it goes, even if you think you're the best in the world. Guys, he's coming, right?
Gotta be.
Has to be.
Gotta be.
Has to be.
If he doesn't, I mean, I think there will be riots. It's like this. They're basically saying it without actually saying it. Right? We're all in agreement.
I don't know. Remember WCW when they were teasing before 98, like 94, they were teasing the Ultimate Warrior coming, and Rampage made his debut. And the show is called Rampage.
Yeah.
Could it be?
I don't think so. I still think it's CM Punk.
Could it be DN Dunk?
So the funny thing is, earlier this week, Living Color, right?
I saw this.
Followed AEW. So
now you want to talk about reaches.
I'm just throwing that out there.
I know, but what if they like wrestling? Like I saw that too, and I was like, wow, that's how deep we're going into.
Well, they did
out if he's coming.
Kevin, is that a straw in your hand that you're grasping at? Is that what's going on?
It is.
No, but I saw it too, Kev. I saw it too. Yeah.
So I will say this, because actually I'll be with Jay that evening, I believe, in Vegas
on Friday night. Okay. Yep.
So we will probably either be happy and excited or be very underwhelmed and disappointed. It has to be.
Well, I'll
big venue. United Center, they're teasing CM Punk to sell those massive tickets. That's not the where did we go a couple years back?
Yeah, the Wintrust Arena.
Yeah, Wintrust. Yeah. Very small, right? Small, 12,000 people.
Maybe United not even. Like I don't know.
20,000.
I'll speak for Jay. I know he's disappointed because he wants the surprises. He's very anti-spoilers now, so I hope he enjoys it on at least some level. But I think the reason why they're doing this now with this date is because he's going to come out. Maybe he cuts a promo or has some sort of in-ring interaction, and then I think his debut AEW match will be at All Out, also in Chicago. And so what a way to get more pay-per-view buys by having a confirmed CM Punk match for the first time in 7 years. That's where I see that going. And if he doesn't show, whoa boy, there is going to be a hell to pay.
If he doesn't show, we riot. Like they'll see.
Yeah. That's going to be a hell of a wrestling 3 days, because you'll have that Rampage, SummerSlam the next night, and NXT Takeover the next night. So can't wait for that late August weekend.
Don't forget that GCW event.
Which you guys might be in attendance for that. We'll get to some GCW talk in just a minute. But I guess there's some threads with that though, because the labors of Jericho continued, and Nick effing Gage versus Chris Jericho, no rules, was your main event. My big question when we discussed this last week was, what level are they going to do? Is it going to be kind of toned down for TNT? Are they going to go full All Out? And I think they ended up getting there. I think it was a little slow to start. But boy, I'm sorry. When you do the pizza cutter to the head, I've never watched that. I always have to turn my head. It's just such a gruesome spot. And then I thought when they came back, because I'm sorry, I don't do the picture in picture. I mute the TV and I look up occasionally. I'm sorry. So, but when they came back, we've ripped on the AEW production side, but that overhead shot of Jericho doing the Hurricanrana off the top to Gage going through the glass from overhead, kudos. That was fantastic. What a great shot. And I thought the rest of the match did deliver as best as that you could hope for on an actual, cable network. Joe, why don't you talk about your Jericho Nick Gage thoughts?
Well, going back to the Hurricane Runner off the rope for Jericho, that was a good shot because I was like, I hope he closed his eyes because that glass shattered and went right towards his face. So, like, even one little shard goes like that would have been done for.
Yeah.
What did I think of the match? I thought the match was garbage.
Okay.
I didn't like it from beginning to end. And at one point, I was watching and my wife goes, Jericho's too old to be doing this. And my response was, anyone over the age of 20 is too old to be doing matches like this.
Right.
It's not wrestling to me. And I never thought I'd see Nick Gage on TV, and I don't think we're going to again. That was not a match. That was just, let's see how many things we can break over each other, and that was it. And I wasn't into it. Sorry.
Kevin, you were a little more into it than Joe, for sure.
I did. I thought it was a match for the first 5 minutes before they started bringing out the weapons and everything outside of the first, then looking at each other and Gage, whips the pizza cutter and tears a little bit of Jericho's arm, like a little centimeter little thing. And of course, Jericho's go like that to make it bleed more. It was very sloppy, but I didn't expect much from Gage. Like truly, like when he had him up and I think he gave him a Falcon Arrow and a couple other moves. Thing that kind of I don't like to see nowadays after the pane of glass, the pile driver from Gage to Jericho.
No,
I don't like to see pile drivers much anymore. It just gives me the shakes based on the, Owen, Stone Cold. I just don't want to see anyone get hurt. But I did not see the live match of the GCW from this past weekend, which I know we'll get to in just a little bit. But outside of the pizza cutting, I was very, very surprised that they actually, like pizza cutting in the arm, surprised they actually did the pizza cutting on the face, showed it. Surprised they let the metal pieces on the fluorescent tube stab Jericho's head.
Yeah, that's always brutal.
When they broke the fluorescent tube, you saw Gage, finger it a little bit. So it's like the sharp edge and then jabbing the sharp edge. I was surprised it actually went that far, not creative camera angles to show it. I'm surprised it was just full-fledged face in. It was, I was very surprised for what it was, right? I fully enjoyed it. Did we think Jericho was going to win? Absolutely. Were we happy that because about from 6 weeks ago when that Dark Side came on, I had no idea who Nick Gage was, right? So seeing him from Dark Side looking like a meth head Shawn Michaels, to them watching a little bit of the GCW stuff leading up with Matt Cardona, now being on AEW, like from 2 months ago, I had no idea who the dude was. I enjoyed it for what it was. I know, Joe, you might not have liked it. It was kind of a little bit light because I do get a little cringy on the death match stuff. And he does.
It wasn't that bad.
Oh, no, it wasn't bad. That's what I mean.
Well,
wait, what side is he on?
Look who shows up right on cue. We didn't plan this. We were covering Gage versus Jericho.
But first, what we do every show. Acapella. What are you wearing?
What are you wearing?
What are you wearing?
Today.
So funny. From the homies at Homage, the brand new British Bulldog shirt.
Beautiful.
Can't go wrong. Can't go
Jack.
wrong. I'm here. I was told this was that missionary position podcast. But when I'm not here, that's what it's called. But now that I'm here,
If we're
it's
lucky.
like that doggy style, reverse cowgirl, all those cool sex position podcasts. No, I thought that Gage and Jericho sucked because you can't water down Nick Gage. And when he said, I'm Nick Gage, or MDK all day, it's all fucking day. Like it, and I know you can't do that on TV. You could have beeped it out. I mean, it could have been done. For the match itself, it's not needed. Eric Bischoff talks a lot about the buffet that WCW was when Nitro was on. You had your cruiserweights, you had the NWO, and this, that, and the other. And I feel like Tony Khan and AEW is trying to go there, but this type of shit, not needed. And I don't know, did you guys talk about the story that came out from Domino's?
That was coming up next. No, as you can see, 2 members of our show are fully invested with their backgrounds of a pizza cutter and Domino's the Noid. Yeah, so I didn't catch this, but Twitter was all over this, that when they went to the break and had the pizza cutter thing, that the very first commercial was Domino's. And apparently Domino's is not happy. Whether that was planned or not, I don't know if we'll ever find out. But basically, Domino's is threatening to pull their advertising. Jay, you're not a big fan of their pizza, but I'm sure TNT is a big fan of their money. So,
well, I enjoyed the fact that they brought the Noid back.
Yeah, shout out to the Noid.
A fan of the Noid, not avoiding him.
Yeah.
But it's funny how many people don't know who the Noid is. It's crazy to me. People I talk to in my office.
NES game.
Those kids.
I thought there was a game.
Noid.
Yeah, Yo Noid.
Yeah. So, as far as, like I said, the match was trash because you can't water down Nick Cage. That basketball nonsense at the beginning, I know it was a corporate integration, but no thanks. If anything, I mean, I might be a little taking it too serious because I've been told I take pro wrestling a little too serious at times. Since the Elite were the bad guys, why weren't they dressed as the Monstars?
The Goon Squad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
fair point.
It's, if, and then, Nick missed the dunk. Come on, bro.
There was more positivity around that synergy than you had, but the one thing I think we did agree on, though, was what did make it work okay was the playing of jock jams. Y'all ready for this? Like, otherwise I probably would have trashed it like crazy, but hearing that fucking lame-o music from every basketball game from 92, I was like, okay, I can get into this a little bit.
What about those nut huggers, Jay?
Oh, the nut huggers.
Oh, the huggers.
The Stockton shorts.
Yeah, John Stockton was tweeting like crazy. He was trending worldwide.
I think I even, in the group text, I think I even said something about the nut huggers.
Yeah.
I actually think my quote was, "What the fuck is this?"
Okay.
I
like 4 times.
Yeah. You were adamant.
Well,
so guys,
I was a few minutes late to AEW. So when the first minute happens and I get those 4 texts from Jason all saying that, and then I see the intro, I'm like, oh, this is what he was talking about.
Yep. So, guys, Juventud Guerrera next week. Raise your hand if you're excited for Juventud. Listen, I mean, can he wrestle? I'm curious to find out. I haven't seen him on TV in like 15 years.
It's not about being on TV. About a year and a half ago, I was in Hollywood, and they ran an independent show right on Hollywood Boulevard outside the Chinese Theater, and Juventud was one of the talents. Can still go. Okay. But I feel like Juventud, should have been the Dos competitor. Then Nick Gage could have been third. Or, here's a great idea. How many guys are in the inner circle other than MJF? 5. Run through them. Maybe that should be how this goes. Instead of bringing in these outsiders that people don't know, and the people that they do know they're bringing in are watered down versions of who they really are.
I like the unpredictability aspect of it. I mean, I love the callback to MJF and that promo clip. Like, oh God, I don't remember them even doing that. So that's cool. But I mean, in my head, I was like, dude, you haven't wrestled in 15 years on TV. Like, if I'm Jericho, why am I scared of you? Right? Like, it's not like you've been tearing it up everywhere.
And Wade messed up saying he hasn't been on TNT in 15 years. Nitro was on 20 years ago. Get your facts right.
Yeah, that's true.
Will he wear a mask?
Probably not.
That's a good question.
Not. I don't think he wears.
He did it both.
I looked
Jericho earned the mask.
Say what?
Back in the
day, won the mask.
He took the mask.
Maybe Jericho wears the mask.
Ooh, could see that. You did the Painmaker this week. We'll see.
I looked at his Twitter, and he goes without the mask, and he showed like a past wrestling things recently, and he's not wearing it. But for nostalgia factor, I hope he comes out with the mask on. That would be pretty cool.
We'll find out.
One of the cooler masks.
We'll find out on Wednesday. But we've gone out of order a little bit because we wanted to save the best for last. Saturday night, Game Changer Wrestling Homecoming Night 1. Matt Cardona wins the GCW title. But before we get into that specifically, I wanted to share my thoughts on the event. Thank you to Jason, the pod general, for the peer pressure to get it. And I did get it. So I wanted to share some of my thoughts on it. So overall, pretty fun. The crowd and the atmosphere, if you haven't seen something like this or just maybe seen a little clip on YouTube, it definitely has shades of classic ECW. There's no barricades for the wrestlers for their ring entrance. So that makes for some great visuals of just people just in their face. You know, if you're a heel, they're going to flick you off the whole time. They sing the song lyrics. There's no front row barricade. All of a sudden, when one match was like getting good, the people who were sitting in the front row just walked up to the ring apron and just like, well, now we're here. And it was like, okay, now we're into it. You know what was great too? There's so many talented wrestlers, so many. Marco Stunt opened the show, and you don't really see him do much on AEW. He's so small, right? But he faced a guy named Starboy who was just a touch bigger than him. And they had a really good match. It was a banger. And Marco's entrance theme song, Pat Benatar's We Belong. And that's another nod to ECW. Did they have the copyright rights to play that? Of course not. But they did.
Allegedly.
Right.
We don't know.
I can't imagine for sure. I haven't checked their books. The next match, wrestler named Tony Deppen comes out to "We Built This City on Rock and Roll." I loved it. I was like, well, he's now one of my favorite wrestlers. And then another wrestler got the name of Ninja Mac, which is a great name. He looks
That's like the first time I'd ever seen or heard him, and that dude was insane.
Like picture like Black Power Ranger outfit, right, guys? You can't see who he is, and like the picture the style of like a Reggie or a Ricochet. He was doing all sorts of crazy like 680 flips,
parkour.
It was crazy. Then you had the one like legend on the card, Too Cold Scorpio, versus the Grim Reaper. Grim Reaper. And they literally stopped in the middle of their match and started to smoke a joint. I swear to God.
So they did some high spots.
They did. Literally and figuratively. Hadn't seen that before. Great commentary, too. Kevin Gill, I think you said was his name, Jason. Really good. Really good. I did not expect that kind of quality on a show like that. The first death match of the night. Two guys, Drew Parker, Alex Colon. Drew literally threw darts in Alex's back. The darts were hanging in his back. It was like, what is this?
And what's funny is Kevin Gill, who's really great on commentary, kept saying, I don't know how to sell that. And I tweeted him. I was like, hey, bro, you should have probably just went with bullseye. And he was he wrote me back. He's like, you're probably right. Probably right.
Good. That was good. So they have an intermission. The three matches after that just didn't do too much for me. I think at that point I was like, all right, let's get to the main event. Then we get to the main event. And before I share my thoughts, Jason has a story to share about his experience with the main event. And I have no details. I don't think the guys have any details. Nope. I want to know what happened.
So leading up to this, we're all married. And sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do, including going to wives' friends' birthday parties. She's super cool and I didn't mind going. And, leading up to this, it's like, hey, it's so-and-so's birthday party on Saturday night. And I said, well, what time? And my wife's like, well, it starts at 7. And I said, all right, because there's this wrestling event that I've been harping about that I have to watch, because if I don't, it's going to fuck everything up on the podcast, and we can't afford that to happen. So, right. The pay-per-view started at 5 on the West Side time.
Yep.
So I figured by 8 o'clock we can roll. And I said, we'll leave at 8, get to the party at 8:30. We don't have to be the first ones there, blah, blah, blah. So pay-per-view's going, and Brian, you did a really good job on this. The tag title match is a big deal. It was G Raver and his partner Jimmy Lloyd, who they were rivals, but it was very WWF like, where that's how can these guys work together to be a team,
right,
and then ended up winning the tag titles. Well, spoiler, they broke up because G Raver just turned on Jimmy Lloyd. But anyway, so as we get to intermission, and then they do the death match, and it's like, what do you say, Brian? Probably about 7:40 when the Effie and the Alley Cat stuff happened.
So that was like an impromptu match that we were like, okay, this next is going to be Gage and Cardona, and then this impromptu thing came.
So I'm like, all right, well, that kept going on until 8:05. My wife was pissed, so I had to leave. I could not watch the main event live. And I'm texting with Brian. I'm like, dude, I got to go. So I hadn't bought a GCW event in a while on Fight, and I wasn't sure if it was on demand. Like, I don't know. Some things, if you buy it, you can watch it later. And I'm like, man, I hope this is on demand. So the story is, I watched the entire event for the main event, and then I had to leave for 3 hours. Stayed off my phone, surprisingly. I'm like, Brian, don't send any spoilers. I'll kill you, that type of shit. And so I got home probably around midnight from the party, and I watched the main event. And a lot of you listening to this might wonder where I've been this entire show. Well, watching Mark Cardona win the GC title made me so sick. I've been hospitalized for 4 days, and I just got out today. And that's why I made arrangements with Brian to run the show. But seeing Mark Cardona do what he did, and it was another one that was much like the Jericho match. There was no tempo, there was no pace, because Mark Cardona never did this. He never did one of these matches. Now, yeah, he did a lot of shit that I was surprised that he did. And while I didn't want it to happen, it was probably in the best interest of everybody for Mark Cardona to win. So the match itself, I wish he would have gone through the DTOF with the action figures that were in it. Brian, I don't know if you saw that. He like bumped up against it and the figures fell out, but nothing really happened. But what did you think? We haven't really talked for this purpose. I didn't know I was going to be in the hospital because of Mark Cardona winning the GCW title. But what did you think of it? I want to hear it.
It absolutely delivered for me. And the biggest part of it was just the atmosphere. The crowd hated Matt Cardona. You keep messing that up. That's okay.
No, because he's the biggest fucking mark.
You know what? If you're not going to give him his respect after what you saw on Saturday night, I can't help you, my friend. Matt Cardona. The moment he walked out, he needed security to get
what a bitch
through
move.
the
What
crowd.
A bitch move.
Did you want to see a match or not? He wouldn't have made it because there would have been 200 people attacking him.
Nobody attacked him.
It
with
would
the
have.
security. No, it wouldn't have.
Exactly. With the security. You're right.
No. Even if there was no security, they would not have attacked him. Come on. The fans have a bad rap, but they're here for the show.
Dude had a legit pizza cutter in the crowd. You don't think he's bringing his own Little Caesars to the show?
He's not going to
slice them up.
No, he would. No. Look,
wow.
This is like how people say WWE thinks their fans are stupid. This is you stereotyping the GCW fans, saying they're violent, they're uncouth, they don't know how to handle themselves.
The GCW universe, get it right.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Well, all right.
So,
in any event, it played to the character, okay, of here's this outsider coming into this GCW world, and he shouldn't be here. This is so out of place. It starts off, he gets in the ring, and the ring announcer was announcing him, and Matt grabs the mic and just goes, "You're a mark," and gets it back to him. And the announcer, I love him. He did like the most depressing. Yeah. He did the most depressing introduction. He was like, "From Long Island, New York, Matt Cardona, you know, it was just like, that's great. Yeah. You don't want him here. But yeah, the question I had was, is he going to deliver? Is he going to take these spots? And he did. He went through glass. He took the light tubes to the head with the going to the eyes, and he played it so well. He was like crying at one point. He tried.
No finger quotes. He was fucking crying.
Yeah, sure. He was crying. He was tried to run away, you know, at one point. But after some interference on Nick Gage, he hits the Rough Rider. He wins. The place riots. We've all seen it. It's going to go down as just like we remember NWO with Hogan getting the bottles. It was insane. And to think that this was the guy who was woo, 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 take care, spike your hair. It's a testament to who he is as a performer. I can say I've since Matt Cardona's been released, I've, kind of just not been all that hot on him. I can say
neither is anybody else.
Right. But until now, I can officially say Zack Ryder is fucking dead, and long live the GCW champion,
Matt
Cardona. Check out my tribute video to the
well, that was the other thing that made me sick was Brian's like jerk off video to Mark Cardona winning. I mean, oh no,
so good.
Was it because of the black bars?
Yeah, it was the black bars.
That's true. That's true.
Bars, the fucking black bars.
If that made you have a hospital stay, then I will edit those out this time.
Yeah, it was. Look, man. Yes. I even went like 5 minutes ago. Yeah, he did great. He did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, and it makes the most sense. Now it's going to be interesting to see what happens next. You know, he's been in Disneyland with the fucking belt all week. Like I said, he's just a mark for him. He's calling people Mark all the time. He's the biggest fucking mark there is. Everywhere he goes, he's wearing his own merch and his own gear. He's a bit. Mark Cardona is correct. And one last thing on this. Came to the ring, arms taped all the way up to the elbow. What a pussy.
That's heel heat, brother. That's heel heat.
What a bitch move.
Well, this is going to go perfect for our 5 count, man. Our 5 count is, well, before I say the name of what it is, let's play the little clippity-doo.
Are you guys going to sing it? Because is that what you're doing this week with me not here?
No, we just saved it for you, I think.
That Wrestling Podcast presents the 5 count.
Yes. That's right. Nothing's going to stop us now from having our 5 count. So our 5 count, that's fun about wrestling when the lines are blurred. That is something... a work? Is it a shoot? And so Jason and I kind of coined this term whenever back in the day that whenever those lines are blurred, we call it either a shwork or a woot. So
pending.
Yes.
T-shirts may be coming.
So our 5 count is our 5 favorite shwork woot moments. Kevin, why don't you start us off with your 5?
Oh, definitely. Starting off at number 5. It's probably the oldest on my list. I knew about Andy Kaufman before Man on the Moon with Jim
Good
Carrey,
call.
but the whole interaction with, Andy wrestling the women and then the huge back and forth with Jerry the King Lawler. And I remember growing up there, I'm going to try to find that. It was like an hour documentary. And
I'm from Hollywood.
Yeah, it was so good. So when I was thinking about like the top 5, I'm just like thinking, and of course I overthink, and then I always make like a top 10, and I'm like, okay, this one is, wrestling related, of course, but it kind of blurred the lines of Hollywood as well. Number 4 involves one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, Edge, the whole Matt Hardy, Edge, Lita storyline. Everything about it, right? Because I was like, Lita was dating Matt, and then, I'm going to cheat on Matt and hook up with Adam Copeland. And it was just seeing just the interactions where I'm just like, okay, are they really going to like hate each other? Like it kind of really blurred those lines. Now I look back at it, I'm like, ooh, that's kind of cringy that Vince probably made them do that. Number 3, This might show up in a lot of people's lists. Just Scott Hall's debut in on the Nitro. It was so well done, so cool. Like up to that point, I can probably speak for all of us. We were all watching Nitro, but it was kind of just one of those things where it was like, it was good, right? And kind of like how Raw is kind of level and not, going up in awesomeness. Nitro was good, way better than Raws are now, but it didn't hit that point until Scott showed up, and it was very cool. Number 2, CM Punk pipe bomb. Brian, you're showing it on the back of your screen for everyone watching on YouTube. It was so cool. I still, with the anniversary of it, I love it. It's that anniversary when it comes on, you watch it just like you watch Stone Cold's King of the Ring, his Austin 316, just the pipe bomb. It kind of blurred those lines. And number 1, I still go back and forth if it's a work or a shoot. The mantra.
Come on.
Job.
Oh no.
Always. Believe me, I mentioned Edge as one of my favorite of all time. I am a fanboy of Bret the Hitman Hart. It will always go down as being one of Bret's biggest fans, but it was definitely, it was definitely a work. He was part of it, but it's still, when watching it, it still made you think like, Bret screwed Bret, Vince went on not so long after. And it was just one of those ones that still I go back and forth. I'm like, was he really part of it? Was he not? But he definitely was. I won't drink that Kool-Aid to think he was not. Brian, you gave me rights to go number 1. I like that. So we're going to bypass you and go to Joe number 2.
Nice.
Fair enough.
That was a shoot. No,
that was a woot or a shwork.
Go ahead, Joseph. What do you got for us?
All right. My number 5, Miz on talking smack to Daniel Bryan.
Oh, good call.
That
Yeah.
made the Miz.
Yeah.
And it's like, you didn't
Great
know
call.
if that was what could happen, because Daniel Bryan was retired at the time. So we didn't know what was going to happen out of it. It's like, was Miz just that pissed off? And eventually they brought it back when Daniel Bryan got cleared. But that right there was like, oh, wow, that blurred the lines.
That's a good one.
Number 4 happened at UFC 131. Undertaker in the crowd after Brock loses to Cain Velasquez, and he's like, it's personal. And like Brock gave him that look, and Michelle McCool being next to him, giving the wife death stare to Brock, going like, you know what you did. It's like, that was, I'm not even a UFC fan, but I thought that one was, and it took 4 years for them to finally get something taken care of, because that was
Maybe
in 2010.
Yeah. Okay.
And then WrestleMania 30 was 2014. So 4 years later, that was a slow burn. Number 3, this is because I was a stupid kid. WrestleMania 2, Roddy Piper and Mr. T's boxing match. I had to go back to my childhood and be like, I don't think they really like each other, which we know they didn't, but they still work together. But it was boxing, so I thought it was real.
Right.
My number 2, because I didn't think it was going to happen, I thought it was just going to be a one and done, was Lawrence Taylor, Bam Bam Bigelow at the Royal Rumble that turned into the match. The shoving match, where he was just like, hey, I'm just a fan. And then Bam Bam just shoves him, and Lawrence Taylor's entourage had to hold him back. I'm like, okay, because this was like, WWF did not really do, they weren't in a position at that point to do the big celebrity match. They were really falling down with the new generation. The last big celebrity was Mr. T. So, not unless you counted Tiny Zeus Lester as a big celebrity. I like him. He's forever Debo, but I don't think that was a big enough one. So I think LT Bam Bam was a good sign of is this real? Is he going to be part of it? I don't know. And my number 1, Kevin, I got to disagree with you. How dare you put it so low? Number 1 is the ultimate swoop or shwork or whatever you guys call it. Andy Kaufman, Jerry the King Lawler is the only one that blurred the line. Just go on YouTube and look up their Letterman appearance.
Yeah,
because everything on YouTube is true.
Jerry Lawler.
No, the Lawler, the Letterman interview in 1982. I mean, the King is not doing his shit. He just looks like he can't stand this guy and gives him the best slap. And then Kaufman comes out, and we don't find out they were working together until 1999 when Man on the Moon came out, is when they finally let it out with like all these books and everything to promote the movie, saying, yeah, Lawler was in on it. Those two were actually really good friends, but they definitely did not. There was that Andy Kaufman was the first ultimate heel. He was the inspiration for Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I don't care what anyone says, and he owned it.
And I don't think anyone's going to care that you said that, because that doesn't even make sense.
Damn.
Well, how does that make sense? He was the I'm from Hollywood gimmick. He was saying he was better than everyone. Everyone else was Hicks. Hogan was doing the same thing in WCW. He stole his gimmick from Andy Kaufman.
You have 2 sources on that?
Yeah. I have 3 sources. Me, myself, and I.
Yeah, they all suck.
Wow.
They all suck.
Great list, Joe.
Hey, Jessica, hit Joe.
Hit
Joe.
I love your choice of talking smack, and when
good.
both you guys have named Andy Kaufman, those are fantastic choices. For my 5 count, number 5, The Nexus invades Raw. It was June 5th, 2010, and the 8 members of NXT Season 1 debuted together and attacked John Cena. And what took it really, though, was the after stuff where they beat up the announcers. They tore up the ring, like literally brought the ring mat out, and you saw the wood. And they took Justin Roberts and were choking him. Daniel Bryan got fired. And I swear, I think Kevin called me to go, Brian, what's going on? Like, what just happened? So that's good enough for me to make the top 5 for the Nexus debut. My number 4, Kevin, same with you. Matt Hardy and Edge and Lita, everything that you guys said. But what I think just the little nuances of Edge gets attacked by Hardy backstage, but the camera was kind of shaky. And it was like you kind of saw him, but you kind of didn't know. And then Hardy comes out later. He grabs a microphone and he goes, make sure you watch me on Ring of Honor. You know, like that stuff that wasn't done. So that was my number 4 for that one.
There was one thing about that, just to piggyback off of that. Mm-hmm. There's a part where Edge says to Hardy, and it's off mic, but you could hear it a little bit. He goes, go back to the Indies, asshole.
That's great. That's great. He also, Hardy called Lita a whore, which is like, oh God, what are we doing? Like I said, a little cringy, right?
Might be true.
A little cringy. All right. My number 3, Joey Styles promo quitting Raw. This was May 2006. This is when everybody would take a turn being general manager. The Spirit Squad were the general managers, and they said that if Kenny wins the title, that Joey was going to be forced to wear a cheerleader's outfit. So Joey walks off. He comes back a bit later because Jerry Lawler says, "Come on back. I want to see you show some spirit." And Jerry ends up pushing Styles to the ground after Styles said, "Why would I come back to work with a hack like you?" He pushes Joey. Joey goes up the ramp and cuts this scathing promo talking about how he called pay-per-views on ECW all by himself. Hadn't been done before. Oh, now he's not good enough to call Backlash? I can't call Backlash, is what he'd always say. He goes, "I'm sick of sports entertainment. I'm sick of male cheerleaders. I'm sick of boogers. I'm sick of bathroom humor and semen. And I'm sick of the chairman who talks about his own semen. And he mocks God. He mocks God." And he goes, "I'm sick of this. I don't want this job." And he quit. Now, he was on the reboot of ECW probably 3 weeks later, but it was a fun moment that he said, "What is going on?" My number 2, sticking with the ECW kind of thread, Paul E. with his promo on Vince McMahon at the SmackDown Before Survivor Series of the Invasion of 2001. You guys know this one. Heyman lets out all his frustrations on Vince, saying things like, "Your father shook the hand of every promoter in this country and swore to them that he would not compete against them and that his son would not compete against them. And then your father died. And what did you do? You competed. You drove everybody out of business, didn't you, Vince? And he talks about running this competition of the ground. And he goes, whose ideas did you steal the most? You stole mine. He goes, you stole my legacy, my family, my money. You got nothing. So good. So good. And that's, tribute to Paul Heyman all the way. And Paul also takes my number one spot. And now with the caveat, of course, yes, Scott Hall, that was great. The pipe bomb, they're just like so good. They're like in their own stratosphere. I just didn't want to put them on the list. My number one, Paul Heyman at ECW One Night Stand. I love this. He comes out, he's basking in the glory of the fans for the reboot of this one night only pay-per-view. He's crying. That's a shoot. That's an absolute shoot. He's crying about the response of that he's getting from the fans. And of course, you guys know the WWE guys were in the balcony. So first he rips on Bischoff saying like, if you didn't notice, we're not at a WCW show right now. You're in my house, bitch. All right. So that's great. He rips on JBL with such a great line saying, the only reason you've been champion is because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays. Now, friends, SmackDown was like on Thursday or Friday. It was taped on Tuesday, if you didn't know. So that was a shoot line that you went, oh, I know what you're talking about here. And then finally, this was in the midst of the whole Edge, Matt Hardy, Lita stuff. And Edge is up there and he goes, Edge, I've got 2 words for you. Matt freaking Hardy. And everybody lost their mind and said, we want Matt. And everybody went nuts. So great.
3 words, technically.
I know it was absolutely 3 words, but he goes, I've got words for you.
That's what Edge was doing. He was like, it's 3.
Yeah. Edge went, that's 3. So that's my number one. There's your 5 count, friends.
That's cool.
Jay, any recap thoughts?
There's a few that, the Hardy Edge Lita was very cool because, that was real shit that they figured they could make some money off of. And, credit to Hardy and Edge for, being professional enough to not hurt each other for real when they very easily could. The CM Punk pipe bomb, Scott Hall, the one you guys didn't, and I feel like we were just talking about this in the group text, AJ Lee's pipe bomb on the Divas division.
Yeah, good call.
Where she went off on everybody there. And then 2 that you did not say, and these are older, and obviously I'm a few years older than you guys, but Jimmy Snuka getting hit with the pineapple on
coconut.
Roddy Piper. Coconut. I always say pineapple. I don't know why. And on Piper's Pit. And then one that is, for me, it's one of my earliest memories, Terry Funk, when he debuted in WWF for the first time. His debut, he came out and, he had all the cowboy regalia. He gave it to the ringside attendant. And I don't remember what the ringside attendant did, but Terry Funk beat the shit out of it. And as a kid, I'm like, oh my God, like, what is going on? And so like I said, I know those last 2 I'm a little older than you guys, but I think you guys hit on all the good ones. And if there are any others that gotcha, let us know on social media at thatwrestlepod or Gmail, thatwrestlepod@gmail.com.
Who made your 5 count? Let us know on social media using the hashtag TWP5count.
All right, that's about going to do it for this week's show. What a jam-packed week of wrestling. We had a little AEW, we had some NXT, we had GCW, all kinds of great stuff. Thank you guys all so much. Kevin, Joe, a late appearance by the pod general, Jason. Glad that you're recovering from your Matt Cardona-related illness.
Mark Cardona.
Thank you. Don't forget, of course, to check out our merchandise, the That Wrestling Pod shirt and the Bruise Neck shirt at whatamaneuver.net. And of course, our socials at That Wrestle Pod. We will talk to you next week. Enjoy wrestling, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Follow That Wrestle Pod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
1, 2, 3, that's it!